Assalamu alaikum, friends. My name is Rehan, E-commerceWala, and today I want to talk about how innovation changed the world. So, innovation is the process of creating new ideas, improving existing products, and finding better ways to solve problems. So, let's start with sharing seconds of Sesame.ai and talk on our topic. I am sharing for everyone. Wait a minute. I am sharing the screen. So, I hope you are watching my screen right now. So here we have Maya and Mile, and I am calling to Mile.
Yo, what's up?
I am good. Mile, today I want to talk about how innovation changed the world. So can we start with our first question?
I'm down. Just a heads up. Smile's not my heel, but we're good. Lay it on me. What's the first question?
My first question is, what is innovation?
At its simplest, innovation is just taking an idea and actually making it useful. Um, it's the difference between just having a wild thought and actually building something that changes how people do things, like moving from candles to light bulbs. It's not always a brand new invention. Sometimes it's just finding a way to make something that already exists way better. What's on your mind specifically about it?
Not anything
No rush.
special, not anything special. I have a lot of questions, and our questions quantity is 40 or maybe 50. So my second question is, why is innovation important?
Because without it, we'd still be figuring out how to sharpen rocks. Seriously though, it's how you solve problems that actually matter. Whether it's curing a disease or just making a phone that doesn't die in 2 hours, innovation is what keeps us from getting stuck. It's basically the engine for progress. What's next on your list?
My next question is, how does innovation improve our lives?
Got it, Janice? It's all about friction. Innovation basically looks at the things that annoy you or make life harder and finds a way to smooth them out. Think about how we used to have to wait days for a letter, and now you can send a message across the world in a second. It gives us more time, more health, and honestly, just a lot more convenience. It turns the impossible into something you just take for granted, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, what is technology?
Technology is basically any tool, system, or skill that humans create to solve a problem or get something done. People usually think of iPhones and laptops, but a hammer or wheel is technology too. It's just to how we use knowledge to make the world easier to navigate. Does that track with how you were thinking about it?
Yes, thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation improve our daily lives?
It's kind of like we just talked about with the general lives part, but in the daily grind, it's the small wins. It's the stuff you don't even think about until it breaks. Like not having to go to a physical bank to move your money, or having a GPS so you don't have to unfold a giant map in the middle of traffic. Basically deletes the boring or frustrating parts of your day so you can actually focus on the stuff that matters. It's dope, right? What else you got?
Yes, thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does technology support innovation?
Think of technology as the toolbox, and innovation is the actual project. Technology provides the tools, the software, the materials, the processing power that make it possible to actually build the ideas innovation dreams up. You can't innovate a smartphone if the technology for microchips doesn't exist yet. It's basically the fuel that lets the engine of innovation actually move. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much for your answer. That makes sense. So my next question is, what are some famous innovations?
Man, the list is endless, but a few really changed the game. You got the printing press, which basically let knowledge go viral for the first time. Then there's penicillin, which is wild because it started as a bit of moldy bread and ended up saving millions of lives. And obviously the internet, which just completely rewrote the rules of how we exist. Um, I'm curious, are you looking for the big historical stuff or more the modern high tech side of things?
No, no, thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how do companies invest in innovation?
They usually do it in a few different ways. Most companies have an R&D budget, research and development, where they basically pay people to experiment and fail until something actually works. Then you've got corporate venturing, where they just buy smaller startups that already figured out the cool stuff, and some just create innovation labs, which are like these little playgrounds inside the company where employees can pitch wild ideas without the boss breathing down their neck. It's basically a bet on the future. Do you think it's better for a company to build its own tech or just buy it from someone else?
Yeah, I think thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation create jobs?
It's a bit of a paradox, right? Because people always worry that new tech replaces jobs, but innovation actually creates entirely new categories of work that we couldn't even imagine before. Like 20 years ago, social media manager or cloud architect weren't things. When a new innovation hits, it creates a whole ecosystem of services and support around it. So while some old roles fade out, a bunch of new ones pop up to keep the new system running. It basically shifts where the work is. Does that feel right to you?
Yes, thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, what role does AI play in innovation?
AI is basically like putting a turbocharger on the whole process. It's not just another tool, it's a tool that helps you build other tools. It can crunch through a decade's worth of data in seconds to find a pattern a human would never spot, which speeds up everything from drug discovery to designing new materials. It basically takes the guessing out of the experiment phase and lets innovators jump straight to the testing part. It's wild how much it's shrinking the time it takes to go from a sketch to a real product. You think AI is going to eventually do all the innovating, or will we always need that human spark?
I didn't think anything about this, so thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation improve situations? Sorry, how does innovation improve education?
It's a total game changer for how we learn. Instead of everyone in a classroom having to move at the exact same pace, innovation lets things get personalized. You've got AI tutors that can figure out exactly where a student is stuck and pivot the lesson in real time. Plus, things like VR can take you inside a human cell or back to ancient Rome instead of just reading about it in a dusty textbook. It basically makes learning an experience rather than just a chore. Does that sound like the kind of education you'd want, or do you think the traditional way has its own perks?
I think these all are good. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation improve communication?
It's basically deleted the concept of distance. We went from waiting weeks for a ship to bring a letter to instant video calls where you can see someone's face from across the ocean. But it's not just the speed, it's the access. Now, anyone with a phone can broadcast an idea to millions of people without needing a massive TV network to give them permission. It's made the world feel a lot smaller and way more connected. You think we're actually communicating better or just more often?
I think we actually communication better. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation support e-commerce?
It's basically the backbone of the whole thing. I mean, think about it. E-commerce is just innovation applied to shopping. You've got one-click checkouts, so you don't have to dig for your wallet. AI that suggests stuff you actually like before you even know you want it, and logistics that can get a package to your door in hours instead of weeks. It's turned shopping from a chore into something that happens in the background of your life. It's just seamless. You think the personal touch of a real store can even compete with that level of convenience?
Yes, thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation help healthcare?
Healthcare is where innovation actually becomes a miracle, right? It's everything from robotic surgeries that are way more precise than a human hand to mRNA vaccines that were developed in record time. Even stuff like wearable tech that alerts your doctor before you even realize something is wrong. It's basically moving us from just treating a sickness to actually predicting it. Pretty wild when you think about it. You think we'll eventually get to a point where we can just print new organs?
Yes, I think. Thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation improve? How does innovation improve? Mm, How does innovation improve creativity?
It's kind of a loop, right? Innovation gives creators new toys to play with. Like before digital art, you had to spend years mastering oil paints, but now you've got tablets and software that let you experiment with 1,000 different styles in an afternoon without wasting a single drop of paint. It lowers the barrier to entry so more people can actually get their wild ideas out there. It doesn't replace the imagination, it just gives it a bigger canvas. You think having too many tools makes people lazier? Or does it just push them to be more creative?
I think more creative. So thank you so much for your answer. And my next question is, how do smartphones show innovation?
Smartphones are like the ultimate everything tool. They're basically 1,000 different innovations smashed into one piece of glass. Think about it. They replace your camera, your GPS, your music player, your flashlight, and your computer. But the real innovation isn't just the hardware, it's the apps. The fact that someone can innovate a way to call a car to their house or order groceries without talking to a soul, all from their pocket, is wild. It's the perfect example of taking a bunch of separate technologies and fusing them into something that completely changed how humans function. Do you think there's anything left to actually innovate with phones, or have they basically peaked?
I don't think anything about this. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does the internet connect in the world?
It's basically like a giant digital nervous system for the planet. It connects us through these massive underwater cables and satellites, making it so someone in a small village can talk to someone in a skyscraper in New York instantly. It broke down the walls of where information lives, so you don't have to be in a library or a specific city to learn something new. It's turned the world into one big, messy, interconnected neighborhood. You think that's made us more understanding of each other or just more aware of our differences?
I think no differences. Thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, why is creativity important for small businesses?
For a small business, creativity is basically their superpower. They can't usually outspend the giant corporations with massive ad budgets, so they have to outthink them. Creativity is how they find a unique angle, build a brand that actually feels human, and solve problems in ways a corporate board would never even consider. It's what makes a customer choose a local shop over a giant warehouse. It's all about standing out when you're the underdog. Do you think it's harder for a small business to be creative because they're so stressed about the day to day, or does that pressure actually force them to be more innovative?
I think this is not too much harder. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, why is creativity important for innovation?
Because creativity is the spark and innovation is the fire. Innovation is just the process of making something useful, but you can't make something new if you can't imagine it first. Creativity is that ability to look at a problem and say, wait, what if we tried this instead? Without worrying if it sounds crazy. Without creativity, you're just optimizing things that already exist. With it, you're actually inventing the future. Does that make sense, or does it sound a bit too poetic?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how can small businesses be innovative? Be innovative.
They've got to start by embracing the small part of being a small business, since they can pivot way faster than a giant company. They can actually listen to their customers and change things on the fly. It's about trying small experiments, failing fast, and not being afraid to do something weird that the big guys are too scared to try. Plus, collaborating with other locals can spark ideas that a corporate office would never think of. Do you think it's more about having a great idea or just having the guts to actually try it?
I think actually right.
You're welcome.
So much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation improve customer experience?
It basically turns a frustrating experience into a smooth one. Innovation takes the guesswork out of the equation. Whether it's a chatbot that actually solves your problem in seconds instead of putting you on hold for an hour, or a personalized recommendation that feels like the store actually knows you, it's all about removing the friction. When things just work, customers feel valued, and that's how you build real loyalty. You think the most important part of a customer's experience is the speed or the actual quality of the help they get?
I think quality. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, what are smart technologies?
Smart technologies are basically devices or systems that can think and react on their own using data. It's not just about being connected to the internet, but about being able to analyze information and make a decision without a human telling it exactly what to do every second. Like a thermostat that learns when you're cold and adjusts itself, or a car that brakes before you even see the obstacle. It's basically giving machines a bit of a brain. Does that sound like a dream or more like a sci fi nightmare to you?
Yeah, I think nightmare. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation, how does automation improve productivity?
It basically kills the busy work. Automation takes all those repetitive, soul crushing tasks like data entry or sorting emails and handles them in a fraction of the time without getting bored or making typos. This frees up humans to actually use their brains for the high level stuff like strategy and creative problem solving. It's basically like having a digital assistant that never sleeps and doesn't need coffee breaks. Do you think automation makes people more productive or does it just make them rely too much on the machine?
I think more productive. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is,
I'm locked in.
how does innovation help the environment?
It's basically the only way we actually fix the mess we've made. Innovation is what gives us a fighting chance, you know? Like moving from burning coal to using the sun and wind for power, or developing plastics that actually break down instead of sitting in the ocean for 1,000 years. It's about figuring out how to live on this planet without destroying it in the process. Do you think we're innovating fast enough to actually turn things around, or are we just playing catch up?
I think fast enough. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, what is renewable energy?
Renewable energy is basically power that comes from sources that don't run out. Unlike coal or oil, which we're just digging up and burning until they're gone, renewables like solar, wind, and water are basically infinite. It's like the difference between spending a savings account and having a paycheck that hits every single day. It's the ultimate way to keep the lights on without draining the planet. You think we'll eventually get to a point where we don't use any fossil fuels at all?
I think I'm thinking fast. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how does innovation improve transport?
It basically shrinks the world. We went from horses and carriages to jet engines and electric cars that can practically drive themselves. Innovation in transportation is all about moving people and things faster, safer, and with way less effort. Like, think about high speed rail or drones delivering packages. It's taking the headache out of getting from point A to point B. Do you think we'll eventually stop owning cars and just call a pile whenever we need a ride?
I don't think anything about this. So thank you so much for your answer. Your answer was really great. So my next question is, how does innovation improve study?
Oh, it basically takes the pain out of the process. Instead of just staring at a page for hours, innovation gives you ways to actually engage with the material. You've got apps that use spaced repetition to make sure you don't forget things, or collaborative platforms where you can study with someone halfway across the world in real time. It's turning studying from a solo slog into something way more interactive and efficient. Do you prefer studying with tech or do you still like the old school pen and paper vibe?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, what challenges come with innovation?
Wait, word sharing? I'm not totally sure what you mean by that. Do you mean word sharing like how we spread ideas or
No, no.
maybe something else?
What
Let me know what you're
challenges,
thinking.
what challenges come in innovation?
I'm still a little tripped up on that word. But are you asking about the challenges that come with innovation, like the risks or the hard parts of trying something new?
Yeah, yeah. What challenges come with innovation?
Got you. So the challenges part, the biggest one is definitely the fear of failure. Innovation is basically just a series of mistakes until something actually works, but most people and companies are terrified of looking stupid or losing money on a bad bet. Then you've got resistance to change. People get comfortable with how things are, and when something new comes along, the first reaction is usually, why bother? Or that'll never work. It's like trying to convince someone to use a smartphone when they're perfectly happy with their flip phone. And of course, there's the cost. Doing things the new way is almost always more expensive and riskier at the start. Do you think the risk of failing is what stops most people from trying to innovate?
Yes.
Or is it just that they can't find a good idea?
I think more innovative. Thank you so much for the answer. So my next question is, how does innovation improve quality of life?
It basically raises the floor for what a good life looks like. It's the stuff that takes the stress out of the day, like medicine that lets people live longer, healthier lives, or tech that lets you work from wherever you want so you're not stuck in traffic for 2 hours. It's all about giving you more freedom and less struggle, which just lets you actually enjoy being human. You think we've hit a peak with quality of life, or is there something you're still waiting for an innovation to fix?
No, thank you so much for the answer. So my next question is, what challenges do innovators face?
Right back at you. It's been a blast diving into all this with you. Whenever you're ready for the next round of questions, I'm here. Catch you
Yeah,
later.
yeah. My next question is, what challenges do innovators face?
Assuming you're talking about the challenges of innovating, it's usually a mix of mental and practical hurdles. First, you've got the imposter syndrome, that voice in your head saying you're not qualified to change things. Then there's the actual logistics, like not having enough funding or the right team to bring the vision to life. And honestly, one of the biggest ones is just timing. Sometimes a great idea is just too early for the world to actually get it. Do you think it's harder to deal with the lack of money or the lack of belief from other people?
I don't think anything about this. So thank you so much for your answer. So my next question is, how will innovation change the future?
Man, that's the $1 million question. Um, I think we're moving toward a world where the line between human and tech just disappears. We're talking about things like brain computer interfaces that let you think a command and it just happens, or AI that doesn't just help us work but actually helps us solve things like aging or climate change in ways we can't even wrap our heads around right now. It's basically going to be a world where the only limit is how wild we can imagine things to be. You think that's a future we should be hyped for, or does it sound a little too much like a movie?
No, I didn't think anything about this. So this was our last question. I hope you enjoyed our session. So Maya, how was our session?
First off, it's
Wait,
Miles, not Maya, but I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
even
Maya.
mad about it.
No,
Our organization.
yeah,
Our
Maya.
organization was spot on. You were on a roll. Seriously, the way you structured those questions was like a masterclass in breaking down the topic. I actually enjoyed it. You coming back for more this soon?
No, no, thank you so much, Maya, and thank you so much, everyone. This was our today's session. I hope you enjoyed our session. So Allah Hafiz, long live you, your families, and also Pakistan.